always mom duty. To all of our participants, thank you. You've been with us all day. Chloe is assisting me, so she has been with me all day. And gosh, we are going to get to know these beautiful, brilliant women. I happen to be loving these all women panels. And as Rhonda said in our first session, we need to turn the handle, we need to open the doors and insert ourselves into the conversations, so real inclusion and equality can come to pass. So we're being joined today by some of these incredible women who arguably work in a man's world still. How is this possible in 2020? Candice Myhre is an emergency physician on the island of Kauai. Tamala Lewis is the Senior Director of Community Affairs at AEG's Dignity Health Sports Park. And for those who aren't in California, it's a 125-acre site and home to Major League Soccer or football, LA Galaxy, and so much more. Chloe Curtis, who's been assisting throughout the symposium, is a Division I men's and women's track coach. Thank you for being here, ladies.
Yay. Thanks for having us.
Yes. So let's get this started. I was sort of looking up stats because I was really interested. I don't know if everybody knows this, but the last World Population Report revealed 50.4% of the world's population are male and 49.6% female. And of course, that varies by country. Here in the US, females actually dominate at 50.2%. My first question is asking you how you have overcome the greatest challenges in your area of expertise, but wait for it, as a minority in your field, when it's almost even Steven across the board, men and women everywhere, and yet women are still minorities in power positions. So we need to hear from you. How'd you overcome your greatest challenges in all three of your expertise? So we'll start with you, Tamala.
Well,
there you are.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as the challenge, other than being a woman, I work in sports and entertainment. So everyone's very clear that in sports and entertainment, we have challenges for women, period, from wage gaps for athletes, to across the board, from people in front of the camera or actors to the people behind the camera with producers and directors and, you know, everything who does lighting and technology, we have an issue. And not only am I a woman in this field, but I'm an African American, I'm a Black woman in this field. So we all know that there's a challenge with people of color and, and women, we just have a challenge across the board. So I am truly excited, though, and hopeful because of the fact that in the past couple of years, all of our male counterparts in this industry have stepped up to the plate for us, and they are speaking out for us, and they are making sure that there is a change. In the words of Sam Cooke, there's a change going to come. Whether people want it to or not, it's going to happen. And I think with all of the DEI, the Diversity and Equity and Inclusion departments is popping up all over the place, and all of the great heads of these departments, I see a great change coming down the pike. And a lot of these major entertainment companies like my company, AEG, has taken steps to make huge changes when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion across the board. And I think, we even had a huge listening call with our staff. During, the uprising and social injustice, we actually had a listening call just for our company, our president and CEO of AEG sat and listened to us in small groups just to understand how we are feeling, what we are feeling, and what changes need to be made in our company. And it was powerful conversations that took place over weeks just so he can talk to every single person. So I'm totally hopeful to see these changes coming down the pike. And I think, unfortunately, we lost a lot of people in 2020, and we continue to lose a lot of people and a lot of businesses, and a lot of people are hurting. but 2020 has made some changes. It has, you know, I don't believe in coincidence. I think everything happens for a reason. And I think we've learned a lot during all of this. And I don't think business will ever be business as usual. There will be some changes and we will not go back to the way we were 9-10 months ago. So I'm definitely hopeful though.
Go ahead, Candace.
Oh, sorry.
That was awesome. Tamala, that was awesome. And you're right. You know what? I don't think I want anything to go back to normal because we needed some change. So good point. Yeah, go ahead, Candace.
Sure. So I want to answer the question, but I just want to give everyone a little bit background on who I am and the perspective I'm coming from. So basically, as an emergency medicine doctor, I stabilize emergencies in all specialties. And I'm really there for your health crisis, trying to make your worst day a little bit better. My background is from Los Angeles, where I was an ER doctor for 18 years, if you count medical school. And the last couple of years I've been in Kauai. And really, I've enjoyed working in the ER because of the diversity of ethnicities and cultures, and had the opportunity to travel to many countries all over the world to work with their emergency department programs. So really, I like the whole window of the world aspect of ER. And then my involvement in surf therapy and surfing was as first a participant. I was a burnt out medical resident, a third year, basically just struggling, drowning as a doctor in training. And I went to a Surf Divas yoga retreat and learned to surf and do yoga and really found my inner joy and peace and was able to revive my final years in the residency program. And having that background, I was able to start doing surf doctoring work and traveling into these countries and working as a doctor, and basically had a card that said expert in the unexpected, and my logo was will work for surf. So just volunteering my medical services wherever I could and able to surf myself. In 2013, I was surfing and one of our guests was hit by a 26-foot boat in the middle of the South Pacific, and I was the only physician there. I was in my bikini. My trauma team was one person, just me. And I had to do multiple procedures and transfers to get the person to a developed country where they could receive full care. So this picture of me saving someone's life actually was a reenactment on the show called Untold Stories. And I basically reenacted saving this person's life in the middle of the South Pacific. Well, this picture went viral July 24th, 2020. And it basically was because the Vascular Surgery Journal put out a really sexist study that demonstrated that out of the 460 surgical residents, that only the men would be allowed to really wear bathing suits in public. And then if a woman wore a bikini on her Facebook or other social media that she was involved with, that it was basically inappropriate and she would have a really unsuccessful working practice. So that's really how I began my start in having a platform to talk out against sexism in medicine. I really have just been practicing medicine in the community quite quietly for years now, but I decided that I needed to use my voice and speak out in this platform for sexism in medicine. And really with that, I have gone back and looked at all the different stages of my life where, sexual harassment was part of my daily life in medical school or residency or as an attending, and how I dealt with. And early out of college, from Wellesley College, I was a strong feminist, as my dad was. He was a humanitarian and a feminist. And really, feminism is just about equality of all people. It's not about who's better or who's worse. So when I was first sexually harassed in medical school, I reported this older white male, and he was fired right away by the dean of USC. And that was wonderful. And I thought, well, this is great. I can get people fired who sexually harass me. Well, it's not quite as easy when you move into the next level, where now people are not volunteering. They're your superiors and they're your attendings, and they have tenure and they're untouchable. So when I was sexually harassed in residency, or people said inappropriate things to me when I was out in a dive chamber, decompressing someone on Catalina Island, I just let it go. Like Elsa from Frozen. I was just silent. I just said, this is too big of a battle. I can't fight this. So really that was a silent period where I didn't speak out. But now as an attending, I have sort of grown into my own and figured out how to bring other people together with me, and men too, especially. You need your colleagues to be there with you. And when I moved to Kauai, part of it was I wanted to really be in a place where it was an inclusive culture, where physicians, men and women, work together, where I receive more thank yous than FUs, because people respect physicians and women more, to be honest. So it's been great. I've had all the men I work with dress in Speedos to stand out for the man bikini, med bikini movement against sexism in medicine. And it's really been a special time for me, where I feel, as if we're all working together for the same cause and canceling sexism in medicine. And I want to thank you, Kris, for allowing me to have this platform to talk about that.
Keep talking. Chloe, a coach, a collegiate coach. What? A female collegiate coach?
Yeah, first I just want to say I'm super inspired by both of you, so I'm really happy to be here. But yeah, like Kris said, I'm a coach, and I also, my connection to surf therapy is I also research surf therapy with Jimmy Miller Memorial Foundation. But in coaching, I think what's helped me is just using the fact that I'm a woman and I get to be part of this new wave of female coaches and women moving up in the sports world in general. Like, there's huge momentum right now, and I can really feel that. So latching onto that and like tapping into that power of being a part of something bigger than myself, and thinking about, I have these reminders of the women that I coach every single day, and the men too. So just kind of latching onto that. And it's just like Rhonda said in the first session this morning, she got me so fired up. But like, if I want to see more female coaches, I need to bust down the door and do it myself, because I can do it. And that's not to say it's going to be easy or I'm not going to face challenges. Like, I'm in my 4th year of coaching, and I already have them, and I'm sure it's only going to get tougher as I move up. But I think I need to just go all in and not, show up and not just emulate what the other male coaches are doing and try to fit in that way, but put my own stamp on it. Like, of course, there's a lot that I've learned from all the male coaches I've had and the coaches that I work with, but I need to put my own stamp on it and bring everything that is me, which is a woman, but it's also an athlete, my experience as an athlete. And then I also bring, studying the mental side of sports with sports psychology. So being a woman is part of what I bring, and not shying away from that, and not worrying about like, okay, if I do something this way, are they going to look at me like I'm too soft or I'm too this or that? Because I really think that coaching and empowering people. And so I believe in the way that I want to do it. And so I have to be super authentic about it and true to myself. And if I really believe in it and I really like carry it out fully, then I think the success will speak for itself, hopefully. So yeah.
I love that. Let's change the narrative. Like, I grew up and everybody always called me a tomboy, that I was acting like a boy. Why can't I be acting like a girl? I'm a girl or I identify as a girl. So I don't understand. Like, you're absolutely right, Chloe. Let's change that narrative. So Chloe is representing our 20-somethings. So this question is for you, Tamala and Candace. Based on life experiences, how do you envision social justice evolving for a positive impact on the future of your daughters? Both Tamala and Candace are mothers of daughters, happen to have the same name for one of their daughters, Sienna. I think getting people to care about an issue is the beginning of the journey, not the end. And seeing mothers out there teaching their daughters young is so important. So yeah, share with us how you envision social justice evolving for your daughters.
I know I had this conversation with you before, but, children, when they are young, they only know the color of crayons. They only know the color of crayons. That is their color squad right there. They break them. They look the same in the inside. They use them on a black and white piece of paper to make this amazing, colorful photo and picture, and that they work hard on. And that's all they know. Anything outside of that is taught. Anything outside of that is taught. So I will tell you that me having two girls, I have two daughters. One is in her 20s and the other one is 14. And so I will say that it is very different. We have this conversation in the Black family, African American family, and I know different cultures across the board has their different thing, which we call the talk. Procter & Gamble did an amazing commercial on it during social unrest in June and July that you can watch on YouTube that I think was just absolutely on point. But it's that conversation where we truthfully talk to our children about the bias that they're going to experience just because of who they are, And I sit down with our daughters, we have the typical talk, don't walk alone, don't put your cup down at a party, don't get in the car with people under the influence. Those are the typical conversations among others that we talk. But in the Black family, we have to have that other talk. We're justifying, what you need to do if you are pulled over by a police officer. Hands on the dashboard. You don't reach for anything unless you are told to reach for it. And then you double check and you ask again, I'm reaching for the glove compartment to get what, my insurance card or in my purse. And, it's these very challenging conversations that we have to have. And it varies from boy to girl, because as we know, if you raise two children that are boys or girls, boys are totally different from girls in a lot of ways, and they end up growing up. And there's no offense, fellas, but even as adults, you're different from us as well. But it's those conversations has to take a little bit different post, how they go about it, but it's still the basis. And what's the challenge for me is that talk was given to me by my mother. That same talk was given to her by my grandmother, and that same talk was given to them by my great-grandmother. The exact same conversation with the same dialogue, with the same things you do and you don't do, and it has not changed. And that is a problem, because my hope, reason why I'm sitting here today, is my hope is that my daughter, when she has her children or she becomes a grandmother, will not have to have that same conversation as that same talk. It is time for change. It is time for things to move forward. We are all here together. We all love each other. We all respect each other. And just like that picture that our kids color when they don't know the difference between colors, if we all come together, it's just a beautiful picture. And I just really hope that conversation changes. It's like everything where when you walk into the room, you're going to have to work harder than everybody else in the room. You're going to have to. It's not fair, it's not right, but it's reality. It's those conversations where, when you are given a seat at the table, you make sure you walk and take that seat prepared. There's all of those conversations, not only as a woman that we have to bear into our daughters, but the conversation of being a Black woman or African American woman. It's just those conversations. And I'm just hoping, I'm amazed by this generation, because this young generation is coming to make some change, y'all. They are totally on top of things. My daughter even asked me, I don't understand. If we're old enough to go get a driver's license at 16, why aren't we able to vote? Those conversations are amazing. They're here, they're hopeful, they're respectful, they love each other. And the fact that they're going to bring change in the environment, they are very in tune to what's happening. And I believe this next generation is going to make some powerful moves, seriously.
Well, I mean, with you as a mom, with Candace as a mom,
Yeah.
yes, next generation.
Well, I'm so glad we're both raising Sienna's with the same mindset. And as much as I understand, there's just so many layers to the conversation that you have with your daughter. I hope that and that also, we very much try to have the same conversation here in Hawaii. And I think, honestly, moving to Hawaii has really opened me up to have that conversation even on a deeper level, because there are so many cultures here. And quite honestly, I'm the minority. And I've finally experienced racism for the first time in my life, really coming from California. So I kind of get it. And I was like, bring it on. I want to see what this feels like, because it's raw and it's unexpected. I walked into rooms with very local Hawaiian people that immediately disliked me because of what I look like, and immediately wrote letters to the administration because they didn't like me. So I finally now understand it. And I just want you to know that it's so important to just make this cake with my daughter of all these layers and all this extra filling, and really she really understands so well that to embrace all cultures and all religions and all races and all genders, and that's just part of her upbringing, and that should be a part of every child's upbringing. And really just being a mom of a daughter, and I'm also an auntie here on Hawaii, which I didn't understand what that meant, but really I'm a mom to all these kids on this island. And so the boys I come in contact with, I teach them that girls are unstoppable. They can do any sport, any career. When I was a kid, it wasn't cool to surf. I got called a kook because I was paddling a kayak in Bluff Cove and Palos Verdes. I mean, I was basically just booed out of the water. So here, my daughter, Sienna, just like your daughter, Sienna, has so many more opportunities. She surfs, she rides horses, she rides motorcycles, she raises bunnies. I mean, she's really taught that she can wear whatever she wants. She can really, dress the way she wants to. She can embrace everything and everyone, and that's to be encouraged. And I think that is just such a big part of what we're teaching them and the books we're exposed to. I have great books I read her, Strong is the New Pretty. There's another one, the Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls, and every page is different. There's a page on RBG, a page on Maya Gabeira.
Yes.
And I just think that, even though we're a minority, myself in medicine and you in your world in the sports industry, and then also Chloe, you as a coach in a very male dominated field, that really just speaking out against sexism, and me being part of the Med Bikini movement. Is there going to be a movie? And just all of us collectively using our voices, we're really able to fill up that vortex. There's just this huge vortex of female role models that are needed. And there's so much in social media that just needs to be silenced in terms of the anti-feminism, the anti-cultural diversity, there's anti-science. And I'm really so happy that we're all coming together and want to fill that vortex and be role models for, the future boys and girls of the world. And that makes me happy. And as much as I am not really happy to be a public speaker, I'm starting to come into my own, and really, because this is such an important, just spreading the messages of equality throughout, diversity, inclusion. It's just so important. And thank you, Kris, for making the symposium about these 3 important topics.
Absolutely. Candace is one of the smartest, funniest human beings I've ever met in my life. I didn't know that you don't like public speaking, because you do these every week or every other day now. Okay, all of our audience out there, I sent Tamala and Candace an email today asking them to adopt me. Now, mind you, I'm older than them, but there should be sort of some backwards adoption agency situation. I want to ask all 3 of you, what's the best advice that you've been given from a mentor, and how have the words of wisdom kind of altered the course of your life? That's some big advice. Who's got this first? How about Chloe?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think the most powerful thing, it's hard because I have a lot of awesome mentors, but one that I learned in high school from my high school track coach, which I think kind of shows the power of participating in sports for girls in terms of like building confidence. But it was just, why not me? Like carrying this phrase, why not me? And, we'd be talking about a race or some crazy goal that I had, like I want to run a 440 mile or whatever. And he would say, why not? In every race, someone has to win it. In every job, someone has to get the job. So, I have to remind myself sometimes, but I try to carry that with me and just always put myself in the best position and put my foot forward whenever there's an opportunity. And so that's actually how I came into surf therapy, really, because when I first even found out about it, I was just volunteering. I just came down to the beach, and Kris is a part of that story. But basically, I ended up I was a student, I'm studying mental health counseling, but I didn't really have much research experience, and I kind of stumbled into getting the opportunity to help out. And I was thinking like, oh, this is a really good opportunity, but I don't know, like, do I have any business doing this? And then I just thought, why not? Like, I can learn, I can do this. I'm just gonna go for it. And it helps when you have a mentor like Gregor Sarkeesian, who most people watching might know, but I think a lot of times, like anything new that you're gonna try is gonna be hard. Literally anything, everyone's gonna be a beginner at some point. So you might as well try, and you might as well put your best foot forward and go for it.
I love that. And there's no better lesson than in surfing, because the first trick you learn is falling. So you will master falling and be the best at that before anything else. Tamala, give us some words that you've been.
I'm going to have to go with my grandmother. My grandmother, I'm along with Chloe. I have so many mentors and that have been in my life for many years, male and female, of all races and religions. And I just have a lot of people that's been supportive, and I'm truly thankful for, because, a lot of doors has opened for me because of that. But I have to go with my grandmother's quote, which she would always tell us: God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen. You have to listen. We got to listen to each other. We're not going to move forward. We're not going to allow ourselves to move forward unless we listen to each other. It's all about us moving into a place where everyone is comfortable and everyone has the opportunities to be and do whatever they want to do in life. And we can only get there if we listen to each other. So I'm going to leave with that quote: God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
I love that. I'm going to actually go the opposite direction with that one. I'm going to say speak up, because I think women also do tend to be silent. And, just really asking for things, getting yourself in the room. And I know that you've done that, Kamala. Like, you put yourself in that position. You go into the room with the CEO and you ask for the raise. You go into the room with, your mentor, and you ask them for an opportunity. I think a lot of times we're shy to hold ourselves up and say, this is what I have to offer your organization. You should take me and you should pay me equitably, because I deserve to be paid the same as, people of other genders. Like, I just deserve it. I've worked really hard for this. So I would say that. But at the same time, I think if you're always, as you said, you do have to listen. And I think you also have to not take yourself so seriously. And laughter has been a really big key to my career and my ability to survive medicine and emergency medicine, because there are so many horrible things, especially now, going on. And I've really found a way to have fun no matter what I'm doing, whether it's surfing, whether I'm taking care of people with life-threatening illnesses. I think it's really important to make them laugh, to make yourself laugh, to make a scared child laugh. So I think finding to of course listen, as you said, at the appropriate times, to understand the room you're entering, the people around you, what place they're in, but then also taking the time to speak out and using your laughter and your talents to make them feel comfortable and achieve the goals you want to have and become the next CEO, or get the income you want to have, or the next surf trip you want to have, or whatever your goal is. Make your surf therapy organization amazing, like Kris has. So just really using our voices as well as listening, I think, is so important.
Tamala, do you have a response to that? Because I know Tamala is about finding your voice.
Yes, and I'm all for Candice finding your voice. That's one of my big things, is like, speak up, but is both of them are important. You got to speak up and you got to listen. But we all have, as women, we always got to fight to step into, the room where it happens or the table, a seat at the table. But I will want to say to you that if anybody does not allow you or does not give you that space to be able to have a seat at the table or be in that room where it happens, when you go about speaking up, this is how you speak up. You build your own room, build it bigger, and build your own table and build it longer. And then you invite everybody you want to both of those tables and to the room. So I will, speak up and listen. Those are truly some very powerful things to definitely do. And I'm just happy to be here with these amazing women, and just happy to be here. Thanks again, Kris.
Oh my goodness, ladies, I've never loved being a woman more. Okay, last question, because we actually do have some Whova questions that I want to get to, or actually Chloe's going to go ahead and take over for that. So this is for Tamala and Candace, who are not in their 20s, but they are basically, well, maybe you are.
Candace and I are 21. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Kris.
I didn't mean, you know what? Age does not matter. Let me tell you. It's only because of the question I'm going to ask. So as successful career women, while Chloe is still blossoming and thriving in her education and going to college and finishing, what does it mean to you to have the ability to acquire wealth? And Tamala, I'm just going to put this out there. There's another component to it, because you're a Black woman, and obviously Black Lives Matter movement has brought forth to the table the inability that so many Black people were unable to acquire wealth. So it's not necessarily two-part for you, but it's definitely a little bit deeper. So Candace, how about you? Let's start with you, and then we'll go to Tamala.
I'll let you know when I acquire wealth. I'm still paying off my med school loans.
Okay.
Well, no,
okay, girl.
I mean, your education, and you do acquire money from your shift work and studying hard. And it really, what it does is it creates your own freedom. I remember after I graduated residency and was making like $1,500 a month, and then going from that to actually making the money you do in emergency medicine, just the freedom it allowed me. We took a trip to Africa. We went and taught, we went to Ghana and gave lectures on emergency medicine there, where they don't have ambulances, they have taxis that bring patients to the hospital. I mean, it really opens up your world of opportunity and gives you the opportunity to be the humanitarian you want to be. So I think that's really what wealth allows you to do. It allows you to go through doors you wouldn't normally be able to go to because of the freedom that it allows you. And that's really what I've found from it, and just put me in the room with powerful people and help put me at the table to make decisions for the future of medicine, for the future of younger colleagues. And that's, and that's what I think money should bring you. It should give you a seat at that table and have, in order to make things better for the people that are coming behind you in the world. And if I could get someone to pay my loans, I would just travel and treat patients all over the world and serve. So just putting that out there.
We'll work on that, Candace.
Thank you.
Tamala.
Yeah, you touched on it. Candace touched on it. As not only with the whole Black Lives Matter, it's very known that people of color have across the board, the issues that stem, that's a whole nother conference. There's a whole nother conference and a whole nother conversation that goes back. I mean, not only with everything that has come to play, everyone saw the murder of George Floyd. And to be honest, that change, the reason, if someone asked me, why do you think that caused such a change? And I said, it's because everyone was sitting still. This is not new. This has been happening for years. Some even worse than this. This is not new. The thing of it is that everyone was sitting still and everyone had to watch it. And I don't care where you went, it was coming up on your phone, your computer, the TV. And there are some people that have told me that they can't even watch it. They try to avoid it as much as possible, but it's a powerful thing. And I think when it comes to wealth, it not only goes through wealth, it trickles down to everything, even health. You know, we all know and are aware that COVID has affected, my community a lot, more than anything, because of the disparities of not being able to have health insurance and things that we should have and things that should be in place. But like, again, that's a whole nother story and a whole nother conference. But I will say that it is good to see that everybody of every color, every race, everybody is stepping to the plate to make change. And it's amazing and it's a powerful thing to see. And I have to applaud the young people when you talk about the young people, because if you look at history, change across the board has come from young people protesting and stepping up to the plate for years, have come from our young people stepping up to the plate. So I applaud all of our young people, because the change that we are today, they are the ones hitting the streets. They are the ones who are pushing for as much change as possible. This generation is a powerful generation, and they know it. It's different to be powerful, but it's different to know that you are powerful, and they know it. And that is what's coming down the pike. So I'm happy for our young people, and I'm just here to support them by any means. If I'm on the streets with you, I'm out here with you. I'm trying to make sure when I'm seated at those tables that I'm bringing you all in with me as much as I possibly can. That's what we're here for. We got to bring everybody up with us, or, everybody's going to be in the same situation if we don't go back and pull everyone up with us.
Yeah, COVID-19, man, it has highlighted the disparities in access to healthcare and food insecurity.
Yes.
Those marginalized before are going to struggle to online technology. So yes, we could all switch over to Zoom if you have internet. So the disparities have been bright shining light on all of that, and continues to be. And it's a system that, like you said, Tamala, I hope our youth changes that.
even through our young people with education and virtually, a lot of our people of color did not have internet, did not, have access. And these kids are trying to get their education. I seen a story where kids were going to Starbucks every day just to be in class, and it's a very challenging thing, but we are here. We got to do our part. We have to make some change. We got to make a difference. And I'm here for it. And whatever help I can give, that, I'm here for it. We're all here for a reason. So we got to make the best of it.
All right, Chloe, throw out a couple. We only got about 10 minutes. So if you could throw out a couple of questions. I'm going mute. Bye.
Bye. So the first question from the Q&A, so we have a lot of really strong, powerful women that are part of the international surf therapy community all over the world. So what can we do on an individual basis, on a collective ISTO women basis, and what can the men of ISTO do to help in the fight against sexism?
Well, I think it's really collective, and I think our voices, first of all, I feel like men need to understand that feminism is really about equality. And fortunately, the other male physicians on my island understood that so well when they all put on Speedos to show that, they're professional in their white coats, and they're also professional in their bathing suits. It doesn't matter what you're wearing when you save lives. So I think that's important first, is understanding what being a feminist is, in order to come together. And really, male colleagues what they can do for you with the fight against sexism and canceling it in 2020 is really be supportive and understanding. much as a white person has to be to someone, you know, of a different color, and just understand, you know, that just be supportive of what their battles are and where they're coming from. And I think that's the same sort of responsibility that men have for women in this, is that to understand where they're coming from, to recognize basically just the subtle sexism, the subtle racism, and identify it, and be able to speak up when they see it, and not just go silently when they see it being perpetrated. In fact, I would have male colleagues in the room, even recently, as of a few months ago, when I felt like someone on the phone was speaking to me inappropriately and in a sexist manner, I would put them on speakerphone, grab a male colleague in the room and say, and just have them listen to the same conversation I'm having, and really be an objective listener, but also supportive of that I'm being treated in an unequal manner. So I think really just bringing everyone together. I did form a Facebook page called Med Bikini, and it's for anyone to come together who's experiencing sexual harassment at work. And it's obviously surf therapy is part of that world now, healthcare workers providing care. And they are also welcome to come on board. And if they do feel like they're being treated differently, or they're experiencing something, that's a forum where they can get together and talk about these issues and how to go about getting help with addressing them. Because it's difficult, and it's easy to be silent, and to speak out is painful and difficult, and you don't always want to be in the spotlight. I certainly didn't. I was really pushed onto this whole Med Bikini spotlight. So I think just, you know, just in numbers, that being a majority and all working together is important.
I'll basically chime in on that and say exactly the same thing. The best thing is mainly to fight to make sure that when everyone is sitting in the room making any type of judgment on the company or coming up with anything, the biggest things that corporations and companies and people have to understand is that you have to diversify that room. You have to, because you're losing out when you don't. You have to diversify the room and everybody around that table, because just like, you know, Candice was saying, culture is baked in people. You just don't know it. Everybody does not know it. And you got to have everybody around the table, different races, different genders, different religions. You got to have everybody around the table to know what is great that we need to do and what is not so great. Because that's where a lot of these companies and people make mistakes, is that they make judgment calls without having the right people in the room. And it comes back to haunt them, and in some cases cost them millions. So the biggest thing is to have people around the table and people in the room, and to fight to have those people in the room that is very diversified. And that way everyone is hearing what is good, what will work, what will not work. And just getting that sense of culture and knowing the community and that you're placed in, you're surrounded in, and that you know, that are your customers and your guests. You have to know what you're dealing with. And the only way to do that is diversify the room.
Yeah, everyone needs to be, is it Jacinda Ardern who's the leader of New Zealand? I'm sorry, that should be off the tip of my tongue, but I mean, look what she did with her cabinet. She's got people of all different cultural backgrounds, gender backgrounds, racial backgrounds. Really, I mean, that's really the most important thing that you can do is like you said, be inclusive, diversify, get everyone's input to make change. And I think just let your voice be heard, get out there, because there's so much horrible messages being put on social media. And unfortunately, that is the most important tool now, because we all can't gather together. So it's become crucial that we kind of drowned out the voices of hate and intolerance, and people who don't want to be inclusive, and really all speak up. So I just encourage you all to speak up in whatever role you play in your position, to let your voice be heard, whether you're shy or outspoken.
Awesome, thank you. And then I think we have time for one more. So we saw a lot of press about the World Surf League women receiving equal prize money. Yet The ISTO survey saw much more exclusion on a percentage basis experienced from women than from racial minorities and all other groups. How do we bring more equality to the lineup from the bottom up? So I think what this is getting at is like at the top of the sport of surfing, we have this big moment where women are finally receiving equal prize money, yet in other areas of surfing, there's still inequalities. Is that sound right?
Yeah, and Tamala, being in the sports world, can dive into that.
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us
I
how to
mean,
fix this.
Yeah, it starts from the top. Period. It starts from the top and it trickles down from there. You got to start from the top. So if they're focusing on getting a certain group of paid more, then they can do that for everybody. Everybody can. It's across the board. And so that is where I talk about the room and diversifying the table and having everybody around the table, because whoever was around that table to make that judgment call the first time, they should definitely be able to make it for everybody across the league. And that is why it's important that you don't stop speaking up. You don't sit quietly. And you have to make change by speaking up, by listening and learning on what's happening in other areas, and also listening and learning how that change was made in the first place. Who spoke up and made that change? That's whose door I'm knocking on. And that is, those are the ones that, you really have to start from the top, and that's where it does. It starts from the top and it trickles down. But it's really hurtful to hear that, but it's truthful and it's happening across the entire industry. And it's, we just got to keep fighting. That's why we're here. We're here this evening. This is what it's all about.
I do believe some of the big wave surfers are knocking on that door. And I know there was a push for the North Shore contest for when they apply for a permit to have a man's contest, that they also have to have a female's contest, that's going to be something they're pushing for in the future. But that's true. You need to find out who made that rule in the first place, that you can actually have, a contest without women. So that's important to get the history behind it and then really push for the change to get the women in the room, get the women on the surf, and give them the opportunities and the money and the equitable deals, and then let them wear what they want to wear. Bathing suits, board shorts, who cares? Just let them surf.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. I love that you brought up New Zealand, because our next panel are two incredible human beings from New Zealand. Jared's going to share his story from prison to purpose. Spent 6 years in prison and is now actually working with a surf therapy program. So ladies, you continue to teach me. I know I'm your elder. I should be teaching you, but I continue to learn and I continue to listen. I'm so grateful on behalf of everybody here and the entire ISTO board. Man, please keep doing what you're doing forever. Keep doing what you're doing. Do the world a favor, do women a favor, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, everyone, and happy holidays, everybody. Bring on the joy. We need joy in 2020. Bring on the joy.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody. See you in 10. Bye.
Yes.
Thanks,
Bye,
Chloe,
everyone.
Tamala,
Take care.
Candace.
Bye.
Bye.